This video is sponsored by Marvel Rivals. Has this ever happened to you? You're trying to get something from the top of the cabinets, but it's so difficult to reach. Life can be so hard when you're a short little guy.
Okay, I'm not even that short.
Well, worry no more. Introducing Mr. Fantastic. With Mr. Fantastic, you can stretch every part of your body so you can reach literally anything. And it's so easy. All you have to do to get these powers is fly a spaceship into space and get hit by cosmic rays and hope that you survive. With those 3 easy steps, you too can have Mr. Fantastic. What are you doing?
I just got a step ladder.
But what about the powers?
I'm not gonna do all that cosmic radiation stuff. That's crazy. You sound insane.
Try Mr. Fantastic today. Mr. Fantastic is one of the newest heroes in Marvel Rivals Season 1. Yeah, I said one of, because this season, Marvel Rivals is adding the entire Fantastic Four, starting with Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Women in the first half, and then later in the season, we will get the Human Torch and the Thing. But today, I had to talk about the stretchiest, smartest man in the universe, Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. So here's some backstory on our favorite elastic leader. Reed Richards is the leader of the Fantastic Four, and if you didn't know, this is actually the first comic ever made by Marvel, with Fantastic Four number 1 in 1961. Reed Richards is a brilliant scientist who in college was roommates and eventual best friends with Ben Grimm. During the summer, he met Susan Storm and immediately fell in love with Sue. Also during college, he would later become friends with a fellow student, Victor Von Doom, who became increasingly jealous of Reed's intellect and just like his life, which would eventually lead to him scarring himself and becoming the villain, Dr. Doom. After college, Reed worked for the military as a scientist and wanted to go to Mars. But the government was like, nah, we ain't letting you go to space. So he did what most people do and just ignored the government and snuck on a spaceship with Ben, Sue, and Sue's brother, Johnny. But in space, they were affected by extreme levels of cosmic radiation, which led to all 4 of their bodies changing drastically. Johnny's body could catch fire, making him the Human Torch. Sue's body could go invisible, making her the Invisible Woman. Ben's body became rocks, making him the Thing, and Reed's body could stretch and be elastic, making him Mr. Fantastic. And together, they became the Fantastic Four, using their powers to protect the Earth from the forces of evil. And some of the most iconic villains that they have fought are villains like Dr. Doom, the Skrulls, Galactus, and the Silver Surfer. Reed Richards is known as the smartest man in the universe, and there's even a council of Reeds where multiple Reed Richards across the multiverse would hang out and do nerd stuff, probably. I don't know, I'm not a nerd. But the main Reed Richards is a smart family man, and eventually he and Sue do get married and have children. He's a great leader and one of the most important heroes and characters in the entire Marvel universe. And I'm super hyped for Pedro Pascal to play him in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. So seeing the first hero family finally be here in Marvel Rivals is awesome. And their suits, I actually like them. They're unique from what I normally expect, but it's still clearly the Fantastic Four team colors. Reed Richards' hair is a little Gen Z, but you know, he just wants to be hip with the times. They also really cooked with the Human Torch and the Thing's design especially. They look great. And Sue, she looks fantastic. And I know that they'll probably have skins that are all blue and more like the classic design. Oh, sick, they do get the original blue skins. Nice. So now that you know a bit about Mr. Fantastic and his team, let's learn how to play him, shall we? So Mr. Fantastic is a duelist. His main weapon is his fists, and since he has stretchy abilities, he can literally throw hands, and they do a decent amount of damage at a pretty decent range. Since these are hands, they can go through shields. Flying enemies, you're basically a fly swatter with your fists. Okay, so he doesn't have that much range, but he makes up for it with his first main ability, Flexible Elongation. This ability allows for Mr. Fantastic to gain shields, then quickly dash towards a target. If it's a teammate, you will give your teammate extra shields, and if it's an enemy, you will do a little bit of damage. This is great for closing the gap between you and enemies, and securing a kill or even two. The extra shielding is also nice for keeping you alive. And you'll notice that after using this ability, you'll increase your elasticity meter. Every punch and every ability you land will increase this meter. And once you hit 100 on this meter, it will activate his next ability, Elastic Strength. But I like to call this the big boy ability. You become huge, bigger than most vanguards, and you gain a ton of extra shields, and all of your punches do a lot more damage. This does only last for 6 seconds, but during those 6 seconds, you can get a ton of eliminations. And sometimes you'll just land kills on enemies that don't expect you to get huge out of nowhere. It really does catch a lot of people off guard. And also, the third hit you use is always a clap. Now, it's not actually stronger than your other attacks, but it just feels stronger because, you're clapping them, However, you are a much bigger target, so you'll take a ton of damage, which can create a ton of space for your team, but during the 6 seconds that you're using this ability, you can't use other abilities. Thankfully, you can turn it off and become small again. Regardless, it's honestly a really good ability at creating space. Wait a second, that sounds like a Vanguard. Well, he is a duelist, and honestly, I think it's showcased really well in his next ability, Reflexive Rubber. This ability has Mr. Fantastic extend his body and block all incoming damage, and then he can reflect it back at an enemy? Wait a second, you sure this isn't a Vanguard? He's not? Okay, you can tank up to 300 damage, and the amount of damage you dish back changes depending on how much damage you block, with the maximum being 180 damage you can dish back. If you time it right, you can completely block some big damage and survive a lot longer than you expect. You seriously won't take any damage while in this form. It's wild. And then when you successfully dish back a ton of damage to your opponent and actually land a kill, it's so satisfying.
Feeling fantastic. I'll never forgive myself for this, Susan.
And his last ability is Distended Grip. This ability extends your arms forward, and if you hit an enemy, you can either yank him towards you, or you can grab a second enemy and then slam them into each other. It's like you're playing with two toys and you're just making them kiss, like, look at that. Okay, sorry. You're not usually slamming enemies into each other. It's just not as useful or as consistent as just grappling the enemy and killing them outright. So 90% of the time, you'll just do that. And whipping them up in the air with this ability is just so fun, and it's great for landing finishing blows. So once you pair all these abilities in tandem, you'll get a ton of eliminations with your punches, and then you'll become a big boy all the time. New Marvel season, now we got a reason for a big boy. I need a big boy, I need a big boy, I need a big boy. Now his ultimate is Brainiac Bounce, where you leap upward as a big ball and bounce on enemies. Each time you land on someone, you can bounce again and again and again. Up to 7 times, dealing a big chunk of damage. It's not the strongest ultimate, but it creates a ton of space and knocks enemies around. And if you successfully get your opponent to use a defensive ultimate like Cloak and Dagger or Luna Snow, it honestly got a lot of value, so that's a win. You're immune to CC while using this ultimate, but you can still take damage and get eliminated if you're not bouncing smart. Also, if you miss a bounce, you'll just stop bouncing and then the fun time is over. But when you do time it right, you can land a nice kill on enemies trying to run away. And if you get more than one, you'll feel like the best Mr. Fantastic player in this game. They call me Mr. Fantastic. I'm not short. So listen to these pro tips. Number 1, when using his fists, they have a longer lasting hitbox. So when punching, you should abuse this hitbox and sweep around your hits so that you can land on multiple enemies and even land punches that you think you would have missed.
I'll never forgive myself for this, Susan.
Once you get this down, you'll do a lot more damage to a lot more enemies and land unexpected punch eliminations all the time. Number 2, Mr. Fantastic is one of the best characters to stall a point in overtime, and then your team can come back and help finish the fight. He has so much sustain and tanking abilities, and then when you pair it with his ultimate, he seriously is fantastic at stalling. See what I did there? Number 3, Mr. Fantastic only has one team-up ability with his wife, the Invisible Woman. She grants him the ability Wedded Harmony, which allows for Mr. Fantastic to gain extra shields that charge mid-fight when you take damage. This ability gives Mr. Fantastic so much more health, it's insane. fine. Okay, let's talk about this now. I have a theory that NetEase secretly made him a duelist when he was actually a Vanguard the whole time to get more duelist mains to actually play Vanguard. I can't prove it, but I think it might just work. So keep it up, NetEase. Keep releasing more duelists, you know? Number 4. Now, we know his reflexive rubber can block a lot of things, but that begs the question, which ultimates can he fully tank with his reflexive rubber?
By the eye of Agamotto, Fear Magneto!
That almost hurt.
Beholds the god of thunder! Tremble before blast!
That almost hurt.
Plasma? Burst!
That almost hurt.
Maximum pulse!
That almost hurt.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
A futile attempt.
Armed and dangerous!
Futile attempt. Let me return the favor.
超の舞を食らえ
Fantastic! That almost hurt. Ha ha! Ha ha! Let me return the favor.
Season 1 of Marvel Rivals is honestly really exciting. Having the entire Fantastic Four finally be in this game really helps make this game feel complete. Okay, so I know that not all of the Fantastic Four are in this game yet, but here's the thing. And Mr. Fantastic is such a goofy and unique addition to this game. But how is he for noobs? For noobs, I would honestly say that he's medium difficulty to play. There's nothing that hard about his kit, but knowing when to use his different abilities and just survive as long as possible is gonna make some Mr. Fantastic players a lot better than others. But I think most noobs will really enjoy playing him when they finally get the chance to this season. But what do you think? Do you think Mr. Fantastic is easy to play or hard to play? Do you think he's overpowered and needs nerfs or underpowered and needs buffs? Let me know in the comments down below. Season 1 of Marvel Rivals is now officially here, so you can play Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman right now for free because this game is free. So don't miss out because you have no excuse. And if you've already played these characters, let me know which one you like more. I want to see if there are more Reed Richards fans or Sue Storm fans in the comments down below. And per usual, you can always let me know in the comments which Marvel Rivals hero you want me to do next. Just type that character for noobs in the comments and I'll keep my eyes peeled for the most popular ones. Once again, thank you so much to Marvel Rivals for sponsoring this video. But with that, I'll catch you later. Ya noob.